Blue Apron delivers farm fresh
Oh,
ingredients.
no ads, man. Come on.
If your dick doesn't work and you'd like it to work, you should get Blue Chew. Yeah.
What goes into a perfect bottle of Dreaming Tree wine? Nana knew. She would stud my grandfather, so a little bit of him ended up in every drop. Dreaming Tree, drink your history. Yum.
You took the girl that works at the nonprofit out to dinner instead of the stripper? What's wrong with you, Sebastian? It's like donating money to a puppy mill instead of an animal rescue. It's bad for the show. If you want to find out about it, don't let it happen again. Are we on? This episode of the BenBen Show is brought to you by the Biden administration's ban on pomegranates. Earlier this week, Joe Biden signed into law a ban on pomegranates for all federal employees and private businesses that have 100 or more workers. Unsure if that's legal, but I digress. No word yet from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki on what this has to do with COVID-19, but that has not stopped Karens from around the globe from taking this law into their own hands and running with it.
No pomegranates! No pomegranates! None!
Yikes. Yeah. I'm good. I apologize for not doing the show last week. I got sores all over my tongue again, like a flashback, LSD flashback of COVID. Kind of felt like Janice Soprano complaining to Tony. Tony, I'm so sorry, Tony. I forgot to feed the ducks while you were away. But I had dandruff. I don't know how long I have left. Can I borrow $1 million? It's just, I understand it's like a silly excuse thing, but I think long COVID mainly affects women. It's just like, yeah, I just don't like, kind of tired all the time. And I just kind of feel like, like, what did you feel like before? Kind of like, well, like before COVID? Yeah. Like tired all the time. No, but like for I don't know. My doctor said like it's a spike from stress. Like he's like, are you under a lot of stress? I'm like, of course I'm under stress. Like this podcast, for your own edification, does not pay the bills. I guess any second, any day, Tim Dillon or someone could take over me. Chris D'Elia, congratulations podcast, Tim Dillon, very exceptional people, but it's a competition. And if I miss a week, that's a big setback. Joe Rogan's already taken over, and I was so close to being number one. Terrible. And so, yeah, I'm stuck like this. I'm stuck here, and I have a sore tongue still, but I'm going to fight through it for you guys because I love you guys. But I want to teach you, I want to, educate you on like, this isn't the only thing I do. It's like a passion project. I'm moonlighting here, babies. Sorry, Chris. That's your thing. Homies, can I call my people homie? You my homies? My crackers? My fig Newtons? My Newtons? Wheat thins? How my wheat thins? You my wheat thins. All right, you guys are my wheat thins. So, like it sounds the only thing I do. I have a day job. During the day, I procure young Asian boys for Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. It's true. I do. I set up the travel arrangements from Indochina, make sure they get to wherever Bill and Jeff need them so they can enjoy the boys and have a good time together. That's my job. That puts a lot of pressure on me. Okay? A lot. I had to learn Mandarin and I have a learning disability. So yeah, that was hard. You probably aren't aware, those of you watching, but it's a coveted position in the entertainment industry. The procurer of young Asian boys for Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. It's kind of a big deal. Ryan Seacrest at one point wanted a 10th job or something, and he was after my position. But luckily, I made friends with one of the boys and I had him dress up like a waiter at P.F. Chang's and poison his Kung Pao. I'm not crazy. Didn't kill him. He's got a stomachache. But now he knows, and that's the point. Trans community. You think you get to decide what's funny just because you have a penis? I don't think so. Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan are trying to balance the wokeness. Let them be. Let them restore order to the force. It's way too out of whack. Like a short, fat, retarded person opposite a midget on a seesaw. It's just not doesn't know. Got a equilibrium, much desired. Like, what's the deal? Dave Chappelle, like, he dedicates his show to his trans friend that committed suicide. A trans friend who was a comic in San Francisco that every time Dave Chappelle performed in San Francisco, this person that he befriended opens for him. But that's not good enough because he's talking about how maybe blackface is the same as transgenderism. You get what I'm saying? Like, he makes a joke that is funny and thought-provoking at the same time. You know, like, how is, you know, wearing blackface like Rasta versus like deciding to be a woman and dressing as a woman? Not the same thing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's funny. Like, it's also interesting and thought-provoking and very amusing when you think about Title IX provisions designed to protect women. But now women are really women. They're just these vessels that don't really mean anything. There's no difference between them and men. But at the same time, the social affectations of being a woman, long hair and boobs, is the panacea for the trans community to be cured or to alleviate their gender dysphoria and make them happier. The other amusing thing about that, if I were to write a joke, if Netflix gave me a special, I'd write something about, like, is the cure for transgenderism or the treatment always the same for everybody? Like, if you're 45 years old and you're if you're me and you're like 10, 15 years older, I'm not gonna tell you how old I am. That's hey, my nipples are hard. I'm not gonna tell you how old I am, but, you know, say me. I don't think I can pass as a woman, right? But if I'm 45 years old, then I decided to transition a little bit more, you know, weathered, and you know, whatever. I hope that doesn't happen, but hey, that's life. And then I decided I'm going to transition. So the doctor does exactly the same thing for me as he would someone who's like 18 or 20. Doesn't seem like that treatment is effective for me. You know what I mean? Just thinking about it. So I'm just saying, postmodernism that talks about like everyone's born with a clean slate, there's no such thing as men or women, yet the panacea for this, which is the progressive ideology, which is born from postmodernism rhetoric, from, you know, logocentrism and Derrida and all these thinkers, is kind of like I don't know, retarded, if I'm allowed to still say that. It's just a little retarded. Respectful people, I respect the trans community 100%. But then at the same time, talking about punching down like Dave Chappelle did, like, you're punching down on people by ruining their careers, taking their livelihood away. You know, it's really, really interesting. How is it any different than oppression against, you know, black people, right? What is the difference between, how is it not homophobic to automatically label someone with gender dysphoria as trans? Why can't they be like a transvestite gay man or a man that's expressing his sexuality in different ways and deciding what he wants to be? Why does it have to be binary? You're transitioning to one binary outcome. And the interesting thing is, all the scuttlebutt on the news, all this like stuff we hear about, like on the Twitterverse, like the fake social media world, it's people that are not really transitioned. They're like in the middle. They're just in like transitioning. They're constantly in flux as the perpetuated victims of a society that won't accept them. And it's like it's not real. Like, it's like designed to push agenda, and it's gross, and it's like it's self-serving, and it's not for the good of the LGBTQ community. It's not good for anybody. And it's vicious and crude. And the one element of power is destroying your ability to feed your family. You can step out of line at any moment and be deplatformed. That is progress. No, it's not. That's barbarism. That's totalitarianism. That's oppression. You know? And I think I kind of stand by the head of Netflix. What's his name? Starts with H-A. I stand by, like, you know, doubling down on Rogan or on Chappelle, but I think they have similar views on this, and just saying, listen, this is comedy. Let's be sacred with what we're allowed to talk about. This is a place where free speech should not be, you know, questioned. From Daniel Tosh's victimization of you know, women because he referred to them, rape jokes and stuff like that. That was the first, was it 2016 that happened? And that was kind of like, that started it. I felt like that kind of like, then we got into Louis C.K. and then we got into this boom to boom to boom to boom. It's not conducive to anything. And people that are like, they have one sociological ideology they think about or one political ideology aren't the arbiters of what's funny. I think it's hilarious that the people that were critical of that show, The Closer, thought the other parts of the show, like the beginning, were hilarious. But then when he got into the trans stuff, which I thought was the show, everything was leading up to that. They're like, oh, that was awful. You're a critic on Rotten Tomatoes. You're lying. You're lying. A CIA agent doesn't give a fuck about you. No one at Harper's cares who you are. You're saying the same thing as everyone else. The interesting thing is, it's starting to fail. I think there is this balance that's starting to come back to center. Like demanding people can't say certain things, not legally in the Twitter sphere and in the social media verse, denying people the right to be able to feed their family. Because they offended your feelings, not even intentionally. Like what's his Louis C.K. wasn't like malicious. The idea was that he wasn't aware of his own power. The women were like forced to say yes to watch him masturbate. Like it's just like it's just crazy. Like it's craziness. He's not the same as Harvey Weinstein. It's just craziness. And yet, that's the powers that Dave Chappelle doesn't have the skeletons. Like they can't get him. He's a black man who's been poor most his life, even into his late career. For 20 years, I felt like he struggled, right? Paying bills, rent, it took a while, a lot of work. He was very talented from the very beginning, but the success monetarily didn't come for a while. And it's like, what are you gonna? He didn't rape anyone. He didn't demand that a girl sit in a pot of Pepto-Bismol while he jacked off. There's nothing. He doesn't have anything, and he's married to an Asian woman, and so it's like he's in a multiracial relationship and of a minority group. So it's not like a white woman and a black man, like a power couple dynamic for the sake of social domination and the hierarchy of oppression. It's nothing like that. He just there's nothing to get him on, and that's the beauty of it. The woman that walking out of Netflix, she should be fired, disseminating confidential corporate information. What is she doing? It's just, oh man. And without consideration for Title IX, without consideration for women's rights, women that are born with the ability to bear children, as if this is some horrible atrocity that God made this terrible mistake with trans people and denied them this ability. Well, God denies trans-abled people the ability to be disabled. And the trans community has vilified them as being, not by blocking funding towards this group. There's no sexual reference to it, so they don't really fall into that LGBT group related to sexual queerness. But the idea that you feel like you should have been blinded or blind when you were born and then have a doctor pour Clorox bleach down your eye holes, this has happened. Once happened to a woman. Be happy by it. Be satisfied. It begs the question, why don't they have more of a footing? Well, because it undermines the transgender movement, which has backing by the LGBT, before T group, right? The gay community. So it's very, it makes it look like a mental health problem, which has been the stigma behind transgender people for some time. That's why they distance themselves. But that's selfish, isn't it? Isn't that wrong? I think it's wrong. So I don't know. I think people should just leave Chappelle alone. Leave Joe Rogan alone. Joe's too big to do anything. Spotify. He made a brilliant move with the Spotify deal. I dare say that the Spotify deal might have even been to preempt censorship. He basically wanted to have a life raft available to him to go to. And he was probably setting that up from the very beginning. Tim Pool talked about jumping ship. YouTube's going to censor everyone. But I think what the content creator people, Netflix has been working on that for a long time, but they abandoned ship. Like YouTube has the power over that. But if they go too far with the censorship, you lose, and then your market share just gets smaller and smaller. You have to be very careful about how you censor, because a lot of the fun is the angst in social media. It's like two groups that have different ideas clashing, or someone talking about another group's ideas. But to say that you're not allowed to talk about that other group's feelings on a show and how silly they are, that gets a lot of clicks. To block that all over YouTube isn't good for business. But, I digress. So, yeah, I don't know. Tom Cruise took in a baseball game this weekend, I think one of the playoff games. Have not been following it. No word yet if Alvin and the other chipmunks were with him. I've done it. I've done it. I get it, but that's what you look like. You look a little. It's not ideal for the night of the party. You kind of have to there's a timing issue with filler. If Ethan Hunt needs filler to keep jumping out of airplanes, I'm fine with it. Transition period with a bloated chipmunk, that's part of the deal. It's a package deal. Also, his hair looked less. I'm being like, you're making me like one of you guys. He looked his age, shockingly. Because in the movies, he looks like he's 35 years old perpetually, maybe 40. They do wonders. It's unbelievable. People are speculating whether he has a health condition other than being a Scientologist and believing that an alien from the planet Xenu populated the Earth or something, whatever they believe. I wish there was an email leak though of Tom Cruise from the Church of Scientology, where Tom signed off on abductions and harassments of people that spoke out against the church. I want you to stand on the street with a megaphone, chastising him in a forceful tone for being a suppressive person. And if no one is watching, kick him in the nuts when he leaves his house and throw his car keys down the drain. Right, Alvin? Yeah. I don't know. I like Tom Cruise. He's crazy. He's a very interesting guy. It's amazing what you can get away with. All the people that pay half their salary, 30% of their salary a year to the church. Does he do that? I don't know. It's probably not. My close friend, who's on the spectrum, called me the other day with an odd relationship question. Apparently, he was worried as to why he and his new girlfriend had not consummated their undying love. He spoke with a mutual friend of theirs who said, she's into some stuff. At which point, he preempted that sex talk with her by copying her likes in the bedroom as if they're his own. He just offhandedly said, hey, I know we haven't had sex yet. It's fine. But I guess I'm just worried that you might not like what I like. And she's like, what do you like? He's like, well, I'm really into BDSM and dominating my relationships, dominating the girl in bed. And she's like, really? Me too. He's like, get out of here. His next call was to me, where he asked, how do I dominate my girlfriend without killing her? What's the safe word? A universal safe word? Apricot. And I don't know what I'm doing. I looked this girl up. I was kind of like, what the heck? This is a dangerous situation, I think, for someone on the spectrum. Because I started talking about murder by accident. And I'm like, okay, well. I looked her up, black leather skirt, lace high thighs, thigh highs in the picture. I'm like, whew. His friend's already out of his depth a little bit. Far be it for me to take the selfish road and avoid an accessory to murder charge by hanging up on my friend. But so I told him, rent 50 Shades of Grey, rent 8mm with Nicolas Cage, and kind of meet somewhere in the middle and see how that goes. And then also maybe pretend, for the sake of a murder accidentally, that someone's filming you the entire time and you're in the movie and you have to make it believable. But at the same time, she's an actress. That way, you know that you don't kill your actress, your leading woman. You work together to fulfill the scene. That's what I said. I think that was the right thing to say. This is the same friend when he overheard my friend and I talking about how a classmate of ours had lost his eye the previous month, all of a, in a fight or something. But he didn't know that. He asked immediately, was it a skiing accident? As if that's how people lose their eyes in general. I almost pissed myself. It was one of the funniest. You had to be there, but that's the way he thinks. It's absolutely hilarious. Also, this sounds silly as if this story isn't funny. He fell asleep on the phone call. So I was like, yeah, so I think you should like get a gimp mask and then leather whips. And I started hearing him snore on the phone. He's notorious for falling asleep. So we'd go to fancy dinners and stuff like that, and he'd fall asleep at the dinner table. Just at a 7-course French tasting menu place in Washington D.C. or wherever. He just is not, because he's works all the time. So a 2:00 in the morning phone call for him, was it 2? No, sorry, it was early. It was 7 or 8. That's his bed. He passes out from the day because he's been up since 3 or 4 in the morning. And then I think at 2:00 he's sorry, I fell asleep, and he was up again. I'm like, what is your deal, dude? It's on a Monday. It's just well, I have to, I have this thing at 6, so I have to prepare for it. I'm like, okay, might be better just get some shut eye. But that's the way he runs like that. He's been doing it forever, and he's very successful. And props to him. Props to him. I wonder do pedophiles feel empathetic? Did you hear about Roger? Oh man, he got arrested. That sucks. Or are they really Roger's a fucking idiot. He deserved to get caught. He didn't encrypt his shit on his hard drive, and he thinks the Earth's flat. Fuck Roger. Good riddance. I don't know. I feel like they might team together. I'm like, oh, that's so bad. I feel so bad he got caught. Jared, oh my God. You want to go to Subway? Yeah, let's go. I know, something like that. I don't know. It's a weird group of people to have something so good that ruins your life. I actually kind of understand if that's what you're into, and sex is the ultimate driving factor. Freud, everything's sex, but that's your sex, that's your thing. You have to go to a doctor and say, hey, make this go away. I talked to a doctor the other day, how much of me now is from abuse or childhood shit that's awful? How much of the stuff that say you say, okay, I do this, or I do this thing that's self-destructive, or this thing that's based off fear of failure, fine, we can work on those things and be self-aware. But what about the desires I have sexually? Some of the things, some little things. What if that thing that seems innocent is actually from the same place? It derives from that thing that was awful that happened to me, or that my dad did to my mom, or whatever. You know what I mean? Am I supposed to weed that out too? It's really interesting how people there's this thing that's called normal, but so much of what we define as normal is based off of our childhood, and there's so much of that is primal from our urges, our wants, and our desires that aren't illegal, but might be oh, well, actually, the reason you do that is because you saw your mom and dad having sex in a hot tub, and your mom her thong actually got caught in the suction of the jets, and it frightened her, and you thought your dad was hitting her. So now you're really passive in bed, and girls don't like that, and that's why you're having a hard time keeping relationships. I'm like, I thought I was a nice guy. I know, something like that. I don't know. I mean, I want to talk about the editorialization of the media. News is no longer news. Everything is opinion, because facts are incendiary as make-believe. They just are. One of the things I noticed during the Trump administration is that when the media had a piece of information that was coming out, the talk was about what it will say. The parameters were wide open. There were no levels of normal reality as to what could be included. It was something yes, Anderson, I believe these documents will show that Trump is a Russian KGB agent and a pedophile intent on spreading his white racist agenda all over the United States. You think his tax returns will say all that? That's what they do. It's delayed speculation to create a talking point, and it's so fucking boring. It's complete editorialization. It's not news. It's on CNN. It's on Fox News. It's just a circle jerk. Although I think Fox sometimes is closer to the mean in terms of normalcy. Sometimes. I think mainly because they have less shows with multiple people. CNN has more so you could say Tucker is a little hyperbolic at times and exaggerates things and wrong, and then you can say that some of the like Fox and Friends shows, like 6 people all circle jerking about the same topic, is very similar to the panel shows on CNN. But Tucker head and stuff like that, like those type of one-on-ones are more prevalent, or Tucker has more airtime there one-on-one. Anderson seems to always have a panel, and it's like not really interesting. So there's no one like when Rick Santorum was on CNN, it was almost a joke 'cause he's a moron. He's not like the right wing guy on there trying to find balance. I think Tim Pool has some like granola guy with long hair on his YouTube shows does the same thing. But this like it's so like it's such a waste of time. And unfortunately, you're forced to sometimes buy into it because the news is kind of embedded at times within these segments. Like you want to like look at something, and so they form the real facts into this like giant drama, and then you have to like get through the drama to get the information you want, and you're exposed to it, and then it makes you like a heroin addict addicted to that drama, and you just keep going. It's so gross. John Gruden last week. This is the thing. Like something that's very serious. Your racism and like, a white person in power in the NFL possibly degrading an African American person based on the way they look in on racial stereotypes. He was resigned after emails last week to Bruce Allen, a white man. Go Redskins. Not racist. I always call them Redskins. I'm a Redskins fan. I'm not going to call them the Red Wolves. Retarded. Like, what's that mean? What does that have to do with it? What does that apply to? Call them the Washington football team? That makes more sense. That's apropos. But the Red Hogs or some capricious and arbitrary. What does that have to do with anything? Well, it's a new name. What's the new name because we didn't want to lose FedEx as a sponsor? It doesn't have anything to do with my soul. My soul is with the Redskins. It's not from a place of hate. It's from a place of Sean Taylor and Tony Banks and Brad Johnson and we've had some shit quarterbacks. Yeah, whatever. But no, so John Gruden referenced current NFL PA DeMaurice Smith as having lips the size of Michelin tires. He said this to Bruce Allen, and he says in his defense that he refers to people that lie all the time as rubber lips. He also called DeMaurice Dumb Boris. I feel like if he was trying to be racial, he would have kept it as DeMaurice because DeMaurice is more racially sensitive than Dumb Boris. It's not an African American name, right? It's just not. So it's like it would make, but maybe he wasn't thinking in his racism. I don't know, but maybe he wasn't really being racist. He's used homophobic slurs, but looking at John Gruden, doesn't he look like a guy that says like faggot and like, oh well, he's such a faggot, but doesn't actually say because sex, blah 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 blah. Or he referenced the Michael Sam drafting by the Rams, like the NFL or someone they're forced to draft him or something for the sake of progress. He thought that was wrong, which it would be wrong, right? It's like, oh, we have to make sure the first gay player before it gets drafted, otherwise we'll look bad like that. So he doesn't like the politics of it. That makes sense to me. It's legitimate. You shouldn't do it. It should be legitimate or real, like meritocracy, right? That's what he's trying to say. But you can spin it as, oh, he hates gay people. He uses faggot way more than Matt Damon. It's not good. So, I don't like that. But so this is my point. The email leak of John Gruden's stuff happened the day before DeMaurice Smith was to have a vote or be a vote on his job security. He could have been removed. The vote was to remove DeMaurice Smith as head of the NFL Players Association. Sorry, it was a long way of saying that. And that's when the email dump happened. He's been extended, and a few days after the resignation of John Gruden, DeMaurice Smith speculated that the NFL's email trove, like 11,000 other emails, might reveal race as a factor in hiring decisions. As if a group of rich white owners are going to talk about their racist agenda in subpoenable, discoverable fucking emails. Like, it's just bullshit. It's complete bullshit. He knows that. Also, Beth Wilkins, I think it's Beth Wilkinson is the lawyer that did the review of the Washington Redskins relative to their handling of, cheerleaders and like Dan Snyder's relationship with, the team and like stuff he said. She's a lawyer in D.C. DeMar Smith used to work, I think, Latham and Watkins. Like it's a niche group of people. It's very possible someone like tipped him off from Wilkinson's law firm to these emails. The timing of it is so racist. It's racist because the leak had nothing to do with protecting DeMar Smith as a black man. It had to do with someone taking advantage of these emails for their own gain and suppressing potentially racially motivated emails for 11 years so that they can use it at the right time. That's racist because it has nothing to do with the black community or progress or civil rights or Washington. They allowed the racist John Gruden, if you want to believe that, for 9 years to be racist as a head coach or commentator in ESPN and keep his job until it was beneficial. That's all that I'm saying. Like that, I don't like that. It's like very... I don't know. It just undermines the civil rights movement. It's like gee shit, gang bitch. Like that's just my thing. It's like I just don't like it. Don't like it. It's fake. So yeah, I don't know. That's how I feel about it. I didn't know that they had sign language interpreters at music festivals. The Waka Flocka thinks she's dancing. What's the difference between gang signs and it's a sign language, gang signs. And yeah. Bloods. What up, blood? What up, gangsta? It's great, man. I love that. It's so cool. He's a grooving over there. That's better. That's cool. So he made a mistake, or he might have not made a mistake. He just liked it, but like they took it that way as the people that posted the video. But like, this version is not as good. This is not as funny.
It's happened again. Another sign language interpreter accused of signing total gibberish. This time it was at the police news conference announcing an arrest in the Tampa serial killings.
We will be charging 4 counts of first-degree murder.
Standing off to the side, apparently translating every word, this woman.
We received over 5,000 tips in this case.
But it turns out much of what she was signing was nonsense.
And there's this woman like that works at the shopping center nearby. She like posts up and she says all this. She's like working for like some charity or something like that I've never heard of. And like she could easily not like work for a charity, just getting donations for herself to like a Square account or PayPal or something. Like that's what she could be doing. Like no one would say anything like, oh, good for you. You're helping the homeless do this thing. That's wonderful. Are you? No, it's just, who's going to know? This takes so much balls, though, because it's going to be on TV. And how do you, not realize this is going to backfire? Imagine, like, you can't, you're just like, did I forget? Like, you're like, am I going to talk like, deaf people talk a little bit differently. Do I forget? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk like me. Did I forget that, like, Am I not up on my side? What the fuck is she? What is this? Is that for who is that for? What the fuck is she doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. Cheerios. Gibberish. It's gibberish. Like, what is that? That's so messed up. It's like what do you get? $17 an hour to do that? Like she comes in. She's like doesn't have a job there. She's like, hey, I can do sign language for this like murder investigation. Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead. We believe that the suspect is currently in a residential neighborhood. We are canvassing the houses. Please stay at home and lock your doors. Dude, I love the balls. It's like that's not you go big or go home, baby. Like you don't do fraud for like $150 for the day. Like what are you doing? It's like it's so bad. And then just by like declaring taxes on that income, it's like embedded. Like it's like you're gonna take. Oh my god, your fraud is embarrassing. You're gonna pay taxes on your fraud. That's so embarrassing. It's so stupid. This is so stupid. Several people were killed in a bow and arrow attack in Norway last week, this coming just 1 month after the nationwide ban on assault weapons. Something to think about. I don't know about you, but I'd rather be shot. Fucking bow and arrow, are you kidding me? Dude's watching way too much Rogan. It's like, human is not elk, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, bow and arrow, you like watching Netflix specials? Like, what's that thing that like Henry Cavill's in? The Archer? Is that what it's called? The Archer? I don't know. It's just what are you, Robin? It's just weird, man. It sounds very fantastical. Like he's into like, I don't know, like Comic-Con or some shit. It's like, I'm into Comic-Con, so I'm gonna be like a mass murderer that uses a fucking like crossbow or some shit. Like this is weird. Like you're like the like ninja assassin or whatever, Assassin's Creed. Like you're that type of shit. Like this would be a cool way to spend the rest of my life in prison. This is so weird, man. Like no cop's gonna like kill you over that. They're gonna like shoot you like with like a rubber bullet. You'll get well, they could, I guess. You aim a crossbow at a cop, but like it's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like just lock and fire, aim low. I know people say that. It's like, all right, okay, can't tell the cops to aim low. You don't know. Like I get it. I understand. I'm just saying. It's just like such a weird. Can you imagine like killing people with a crossbow or like attacking them and then like sitting in a jail cell for the rest of your life saying, is it worth it? Like, and you don't get to use a crossbow anymore, which is something that seems like a passion because you got good enough to kill people. So that you should think about that. People should think about that. Like people like to shoot guns. It's like if you shoot people, you don't get to shoot your guns anymore. You know, you lose that skill set. You know, it's definitely something you have to practice. Practice makes perfect. Not everyone can be Allen Iverson. So I don't know. I just some thought. Sarah Silverman. I disagree with you on this take, babe. You know, like Sarah Silverman called Catherine Hahn's hiring for the new Comeback Girl limited series about Ruth Bader Ginsburg as a Jew face hiring, insinuating that Catherine Hahn, who's raised Catholic, looks like a Jewish woman. And that's not, just objectively speaking, the traits that she's referencing are like a big nose and like basically looking like the affectations, the stereotypes. So you're basically, forget Jew, you're calling a woman a big-nosed bitch for taking a role that could have gone to an actual Jewish person. Never minding the fact that people convert, you know, never think about that. Sarah / Hitler / black person amorphous from Mad TV. You've done these things. This is nonsense. How about Italian Americans? Are they oppressed? Huh? You ever think about that? Harvey Keitel playing every gangster in the book. He's Jewish. Is that bad? How about Loretta Castorini in Moonstruck? It's played by Cher, American Cherokee. Isn't that inclusive? Isn't that inclusive? The Italian woman's played by an American Cherokee. What's more inclusive than that? Do you think the Italian woman was offended by that? Isn't the progress that the American Cherokee got the role? James Caan. Jewish. Sonny Corleone. Like, wake up, girl. It's so, like, fucked up to tell another woman that she has a big nose. It's all you're saying. I know every Jewish woman, girl I've ever read, like, nose job at 16. Every single one of them. Just say, hey, that's what they do. It's fine. Not every Jewish woman has a big nose either. But she's insinuating that Catherine Hahn looks Jewish. Like he looks black, but he's not. Isn't that racist or, like, fucked up? Like, it's so superficial, girl. Like, are you saying that you're not, like you're, like, the acting isn't good enough? Like, you have to, oh, well, it's not acting, you know, unless the person's actually the thing. The paraplegic plays the paraplegic because the actor can't possibly play that. Like, my left foot. Did you see My Left Foot? Daniel Day-Lewis fucking ran that shit, motherfucker. Like, ha, Gilbert. I mean, that's when he should have won the Oscar. Fucking Leto and that. I Am Sam. Well, we all know from Tropic Thunder, you never go full retard. You know, you kind of like back it up again. Count cards, Dustin Hoffman, Raymond. Yeah. When people would, when I would win at poker, people would be like, hey, good job, nice hand. I'm like, yeah. Sometimes I do that. People like me for the tables because I was very gregarious. Like, so when they had really, really rich people at the tables, at the time I was considered one of them, like a non-pro, but it was fun for the table. It brought some money. But like the people that, that were there that were like doctors or lawyers or something like that had like gambling problems that were going to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And so they love me at these games, the pros. And so it's all about customer service. They don't want me to lose a lot because they like me, but they also know that I'm good enough at poker, the pros. So when they set up this game, that I'm probably going to win because there's going to be more marks or shitty poker players with money, and I'm better than all of them, but I'm not as good as the pros. So my EV or my chances of earnings are going to be like, good, okay, solid, but I'm not going to maximize them because I lack the skill set to do so. Case in point, one guy, like we were playing 25-50 Nolan Hold'em. He was down $50,000, right? He's a pro. He lost 50 in the first 6 hours, 3 hours, I don't know, 2 hours. I don't know. The games go for like a long time. Supposed to go the next day. And he ended up winning like $150,000. And then he almost got robbed because we did this game at the Horseshoe in Baltimore, and this particular time he almost got robbed at like a Holiday Inn or something like that. It's like someone, like, not people playing poker, were like watching our table. So it's always like a marquee table for the bigger games. 25-50 is a pretty big game, particularly for Baltimore. But in general, like, there's real money to be had there. People have hundreds of thousands of dollars for their buy-ins in that game. They bring $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per buy-in. Perfectly legitimate, right? 10 buy-ins, easily could lose. So the point I'm saying is, like, it's a big game. So if you were to rob someone and you're just there like playing blackjack or playing a lesser poker game just to watch and see the players and see what their movements are and like follow one of them, it's legitimate. Like, that's scary. So yeah, I don't know why I started talking about poker, customer service. I can't remember. Yeah, Rain Man. Oh, you never go full retard. Yeah, that's right. Never go full retard. I don't even know why I was talking about that. It's cool though. But yeah, like, Sarah Silverman, like, you're this rich, powerful woman. And I'm sorry to say, but the people in Hollywood that are the most power, not the actors. They're the people that run Hollywood, and they're Jewish, a lot of them. So, like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like key grips, that's Jew face. That key grip could have been a Jew hire, but you got the person that looks Jewish. Fuck that. Yeah, but the director, the producer are Jewish, and the head of the studio is Jewish. So what the it's like retarded. She's just so stupid. You know what the problem is? She doesn't have anything right now. She has nothing. One of the problems with social media too is that thing. It's like, I need a job. You know what? That's transphobic, Matthew McConaughey. Don't say that. And then he apologizes to his publicist, and then you get like a book deal with Simon & Schuster. That's how it works. It's so weird. Like, Chelsea Handler's notorious for this. Like, need to get a show, need to get back on TV, need to get famous again. Maybe I can fuck 50 Cent. I don't know. Pay him to vote for Biden. I don't know. Like, that's, but like, she's constantly putting all this political shit out there. Like, it's like you get famous and they tell you, okay, now you have to be a pundit for like whatever we want you to say. And it's like your position here has nothing to do with your talent. Quite frankly, you were just chosen. You got famous through luck and hard work, combination of the two, generally the case. But now that you're here, we can deplatform you at any time unless you say that you feel like 4-year-old boys should be turned into girls because that would just make the world a better place. I don't know, something like, it's usually like, okay, I believe that. Who wouldn't? I might even get bought out. BenBen. You're BenBen. I mean, I'm just saying, if they want to say some crazy shit, like, I'm already booking all the young Asian boys. What's the difference? I'll go crazy. I'll go hard for them. I want some Raris. I want Raris. I want a whole rainbow section of Raris. Pro LGBTQ Raris. I'd love to have them. Provided they give me enough money so I can buy the garages. Say whatever the fuck you want me to say. That's the thing. So when Lil Baby starts talking about pushing dick next year and how he's featured on the next Lil Nas X album. Oh, sorry, Lil Baby. The Baby. The BenBen. The BenBen's going to be like, I told you. So, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, all right. So I'm like, yeah, but it's like we're getting close to the end. I'm like, all right, what you wanna? Yeah, it's the rock. So yeah, it's weird, man. If you guys know anything about the COVID though, like getting symptoms or like physical symptoms after the fact, I don't mean like feeling tired. I mean like, if you guys had COVID tongue, did you get COVID tongue like a month later? Or like a few months later. I got COVID last year in February, I think, and I got COVID. The Delta, I think the variant has the tongue thing a month ago is when I said I got it, I think, right? And then so I was done with it, and I got the tongue thing. It was minor, much more minor this time, but not really. You know, like I didn't have all the other symptoms, but my tongue was really sore. So that's weird. So let me know about that. That's a weird long COVID. I don't know. Comment section down below. Click the like button. Say I love you. Yeah, say like, you know, I like to hit your mom what you do to make your booty fat, Ben. Talk in the comment section. Let's get that algo going. Yeah, stay fly, stay Ben, stay crazy. Yeah, it's a right. All right, yeah, out, Ben. Peace.